Hi guys, this is Umair and today I'm going to start a tutorial on JavaScript. In this tutorial I will show you how to implement autocomplete functionality. So you can see on my screen I have two text boxes, first one for showing the list of computer languages and second text box for showing the list of computer science degrees. Okay, so as you can see, as I hover my cursor on it, it shows the list of computer languages and second one shows the degrees. The one of the interesting thing in here that both the text boxes are using the same functions for populating these values based on the parameter that we sent to that function. If you are on a project that contains so many drop down lists, it's always a good practice to write a generic function for populating different values on different drop down lists rather than implementing or writing different code for each of drop down item. Okay, so let's do it. The IDE that I'm using is WebStorm, but you can use others as well like Sublime Text or Notepad++. This one I'm using because I like it. So you can see that I have created a default project that is Angular tutorials. Okay, so that you can create from new project and empty project. Okay, so first we need to implement the user interface, this labels and text box and some CSS for it. Okay, so let's do it. I will go and create a new HTML file with the name index, and then I will, under this I will add some HTML. Okay, first I will add a div tag with the ID of container. Okay, inside this tag I need to add two more elements for data list and the input type text. So first I need to add a label, languages, BR, and then the data list tag. Okay, so languages, data list, and then input type text, and list is the language, and name has to be the same as this. Okay, now I need to add two break points. You can see that this list item contains the value that is referring to the ID of this data list tag. So its ID and its value should be same. Okay, now for the degree, let's copy and paste it and change its label from computer languages to degree, change it as well from degree. Okay, so this one and this one. Alright, so we are done with the HTML. Now we need to write some CSS for bringing it to the center. Okay, so style sheet. Inside here I need to write some thing like font size for the whole document should be large. Okay, and then I will select the container. I will set its padding to 50 pixels, width to 200 pixels, margin auto, and margin top should be, let's say it's 50. Okay, so now for the input tag I need to add a border to it. So input border 2 pixels solid and its color should be dark gray. Okay, and now we need to add a reference or link to this style sheet. So for that we need to come to the head tag and add a link to this file, rel style sheet. Okay, type text CSS and href should be style sheet. Okay, so I think we are done with the user interface. Let's see if we are having this interface. So we have that interface that we were intended to make. So now let's write our actual JavaScript code. For that, we first need to add a model for it that will contain the values or data for showing it onto this data list or the input drop down text box. Okay, so I will create a new JavaScript file with the name language. Okay, in here I will add a constructor function language and list equals to this. Okay, I will add some values inside it. Okay, you can write anything you like. So JavaScript, C, C++, C Sharp, okay, Angular. So I think these are enough for showing it on the drop down list. So we are done with our model. Okay, language. Now come here and add a reference to that file. Okay, script source, and that has to be the language, and I have to add the type for it, that is the text JavaScript. Okay, so we have added the link to our style sheet and the reference to our language. Alright, now we need to add some code in order to detect if our cursor is over this input tag or not. Okay, so to do that we can also do it with JavaScript, but using it with the jQuery is more preferred way of doing this. So first we need to add a reference to our jQuery file. You can also download jQuery file and add a reference to it, but I'm going to add a reference to an online CDN script. Okay, you can just write it as it is. Alright, now in order to write the jQuery code, we need to add a script tag inside the body tag. It is always recommended that you write the script code under this body tag. Okay, and I have added the script references over here in the head tag. It is also recommended that you just bring those references in here above this file. Okay, so under this script I need to first detect if my DOM has been loaded, because if I just go ahead and write some code for detecting this input element by hovering my cursor on it, and if it is not being loaded at that time, then it will generate an error. So first inside this script tag, with the help of jQuery, I need to detect if all the elements of HTML have been loaded or not. So for that I need to write document.ready function. Okay, it will detect if these elements have been truly loaded for using or not. Okay, now the document has been loaded. Under it we need to detect an event, that if the cursor is on this input text box or not. So for that I will add a selector for input, and I will check the event mouse over event. Okay, now we have written the code for detecting the mouse over event onto this tag, both the tag. Okay, now we need to detect that which one we used, that we will send onto the function, onto the generic function for generating the data for a specific input element. So for that, in order to detect that on which element we hovered our cursor. Okay, so first I will add a variable and then I will use the this keyword. It will detect if we hover cursor on this input, it will get all the data from this input. Its name will be degree and list will be degree. Alright, if we hover our cursor on this input tag, it will detect that this input was selected. Okay, so in order to select the value of this attribute, we need to use the attribute and then name. Okay, now we need to write some code, JavaScript code, in order to pop up or show the values inside these two tags. I haven't written the code right now, but let's say it would be the populate function that will receive the value of this attribute. Okay, so I think we are done with this file. Now let's go and write some JavaScript code for populating these values on these things. Right now we have just added the language model. Later on we will add the degree model as well, and first we will need to check if this input works or not. Okay, so let's go and make a new file, JavaScript file with the name script. Before writing anything inside it, let's add a reference to it above this script, jQuery script code. Okay, so script type JavaScript. Alright, and source would be the script tag. Okay, so make sure you add a reference of this script before this code, because this code will contain the populate function. If we add this code after this script, then it will not find this populate function. Okay, so now let's go and write some script code. Okay, so first I need to add a function that will receive parameter. Okay, first I need to detect this data item. Okay, so for that I can use the JavaScript document.get element by ID, and that will be the source string. Okay, after that I need to construct an object for this model. Okay, but this is a string. We can't directly construct an object for this constructor function. We first need to convert this string into an object form. So for that we will use a built-in function, eval, and it will receive a string, source string. Okay, now our this string have been converted to an object. Now we can just go ahead and construct an object for it. Alright, so now we need to fill this data list with the items of this array. Okay, so first we need to add an empty variable that will contain all the elements of that array, and now I would write a loop for iterating through all the elements of that array inside the language model. So list is the variable name of that array, and then length. Okay, so now inside it I will concatenate that variable with the options tab. Okay, option value equals to double quote single plus obj dot list I, and then I will concatenate it with the end tag of that option. So single quote, double quote, and that's it. Alright, so this variable will contain all the values from this array after this loop. Okay, so now we need to set the inner HTML of this data list item with these options. Okay, we have the reference for that data list item in this variable. Okay, so I will write mylist.innerHTML equals to options. Alright, so now if I hover my cursor on it, it will be called, it will be detected by this event, and it will call this populate function, and then populate function will receive this parameter, and parameter will be, with the help of this parameter we will detect that which input tag was used for that event. So let's see if it works or not. Okay, so let's go and open in Chrome. It will not work for degree. Now let's check for the languages. Okay, so I have hovered my cursor on it. It has called that populate function, and if I click on it, so you can see that data has been populated inside it. Now let's make a new model, degree, and use the same function for populating those values, and let's see if it works or not. So I will go and make a new JavaScript file for the degree. Okay, and I will write a constructor function with the name degree. Okay, and I need to write the variable the same name that was in the language model, and inside it I will write BSIT, BSCS and BSSE. Okay, you can write anything in this array. Now we have this model degree. So I think this is all we need to do. Okay, if we hover our cursor on it, it will detect that this input received that event, and it will call that populate function with the parameter this, and it will go here and it will construct an object for it, and it will fill the values for this input tag. Okay, so now let's go and check it. Okay, let it. So it's not working. In order to detect the error, that what is the problem with this, let's press the F12, and it's saying that source object is not a constructor. Alright, so now let's go and see. So the problem here that we haven't added a reference for that model. Okay, so let's add degree. Let's go and check it again. So you can see that it's working now. So it's using the same function, same populate function for showing the data in both the text boxes. If you're working on a large project that contains too many drop-down lists, it's always a good practice to write a generic function for populating the data by getting it from any model or from any JSON or XML file. Now there is a one problem in it, that if I hover my cursor on it, every time it call that function and execute that code inside it, it can really slow down your browser. So for making it more efficient, let's add a check inside it that if the inner HTML of this data list item is empty or null, then execute this code, otherwise don't do it. Okay, so now I will write mylist dot inner HTML equals to null, or mylist dot inner HTML equals to empty. Alright, so I think that it will work. Now let's go and run it again. Activate the debugger mode, and now I have added a breakpoint right here in order to detect that if it comes inside it or not, if the mylist item is empty. Okay, so now first time mylist item will be empty, the second time it will be filled. So let's see if it works or not. So first time it was empty, it should have been come inside it. Now let's just go with it, and then I will hover my cursor again on it in order to see if it comes inside it or not. So you can see that it is not coming, it's working fine. It's showing the same values. Alright, now I haven't already hovered my cursor on the degree input text box. It should come inside this conditional statement first time. Okay, so it has come. I will do it again. It is not coming. So it can really make your code execute fast and make your browser load your pages really efficiently. So I think that we are done with our functionality, everything that we intended to do. I hope that you have liked it. If you have any questions, just comment below. I will answer your questions. I'm going to make few more tutorials on JavaScript for making paintbrush tool with the help of jQuery and JavaScript. So make sure to subscribe this channel and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you for watching this video.